Hello, my name is Hans George Campbell. Welcome to my unboxing and review of the AVerMedia Live Gamer HD2 video capture board. Alright, let's take a look at the AVerMedia Live Gamer HD2 video capture board. This is the front of the box. I like the way it's got that metallic blue inside the box there. I think that's really cool the way they made this box with the matte finish, the matte black. Looks really cool. Live Gamer HD2, ready to play PCI Express game capture card, 1080p at 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second. This is actually a very nice card. Since 720p and 1080p are still the standards today for the internet and for your online streaming services, okay, this is a perfect board to use today for doing your video capturing, well, your gameplay capture and other capturing jobs that you may have. Because the 2K video standard and the 4K video standard, they're not going to become the norm or the standard for at least another 5 years. Yes, you heard that right. So I don't know why you people are running out there buying 2K gaming monitors and 4K TVs and all that, because 720p and 1080p are still the standard, the video standard in 2025. So this is the card that I recommend for a Windows 7, actually this is Windows 10 and Windows 11 card. I think it also supports Windows 7 64-bit. I know it also supports Windows 8.1, but who uses Windows 8, Anyway, that's the front of the box, and there is the rear of the box. I think I'll zoom in that part there so you can maybe possibly read any of that, And there is, let me get the dust off. I have this sitting in my room. It's getting dusty. But there's that part of the box. That part of the box. I like to show the whole box. Okay. That part of the box, and of course that metallic blue part there. Alright, so let's see if we can slide this out. These are usually difficult to slide out of here without tearing the outer sleeve. I mean, I don't want to tear this box. I want to try to hang on to this box. Now, I'm going to show you a trick that I learned. Because one of my hobbies is collecting Matchbox cars and Hot Wheels cars. And the older Matchbox cars, especially the ones that were made in England by Lesney, they come in a box that has flaps like this. And so I'm going to show you a method how to open up boxes with lock flaps like this without damaging or ripping these flaps. And what you do is you take a knife like this, the blunt edge goes toward the flap part, and then you twist up like that. You see how it opened it up? So all you got to do And that's how you can safely open up any lock flap. This is called a lock flap box. And you just pull it that way and it unlocks it. And it doesn't mess up the box. See? Like that. Because if you try to pull this out, you're going to rip this outer covering. Because you're fighting the vacuum, the suction. Because when you try to move something out, air has to take its place. And it has a very small opening here in the rear for the air to come in. So you're going to have a hard time pulling it out. So what you want to do is, if you can open up one end like that, it makes it a lot easier to slide the outer covering off. And see how it's got that like metallic? Look at that, how it's metallic. That is so cool. Look at that. Wow. Look at that. I think this has got to be one of the coolest looking boxes I've ever seen. I mean, for a piece of, you know, computer hardware, I mean, just look at that. That is so cool. And see, I was able to remove this. Now this has like, I don't know, like a cardboard screen right here. Look at that, the way that's made. That is so cool. Okay, and then I close the flap back up. See, and I kept this from getting torn because I want to hang on to the box. Okay, so we'll put that there. Actually, there would be fine. Okay, so now let me zoom in a little bit. Maybe that might be too much. Yeah, we'll open up the box and see what's inside the box. Okay, and pull this out. And here's the card itself. We'll take a look at that in a moment. And the rest of the stuff's in the box. We've got what appears to be a good quality HDMI cable. I'm not going to take it out because I have one HDMI cable I'm using right now. But I'll hang on to this. It appears to be very good quality. And no, they don't have to be gold plated. That's just a gimmick that companies use to sell you their product. Oh, they're gold plated connectors. You know, they don't really need to be gold plated. They'll still work just fine. Yeah, so yeah, these what you should mainly be concerned about on cables like this is the shielding. You want your cables to have good shielding. That's actually more important than the connector being gold plated. Okay, so yeah, this appears to be a good quality HDMI cable. And then we have what it looks like to be, well, it appears to be like a, that's for your audio, your stereo audio. It's like a standard stereo audio plug. You know, these are probably going to be a standard 6 feet long, both of these cables. That's the standard. 6 feet long is the standard for cables like this. That's for hooking up your audio, you know, if you have like external audio sources. And then of course we have this card here. Okay. I don't know if you'd want to scan any of those with your phone or not. I get up a little bit closer so you can do that. Yeah, so that card comes in the box. Alright. Then we have, let me see. I'm going to tear the manual. We got the Quick Guide, Live Gamer HD2 by AVerMedia. Quick Guide. Right there. Stream to victory. Alright. What's in the manual? It's probably several languages. I'll let you read that. Pause that to read that if you want. You know. Get up there a little bit closer where you can do that. Okay. And then there's this important information there. Okay, I don't know how well you'll be able to read that. And these are in the other languages right here, so yeah, these are the other languages. Yeah, other languages. Okay. Alright, that's the book. Okay, and then we have, what is this? The Live Gamer HD2 info packet. Okay, so what's in this info? I don't really see anything. I mean, okay. Alright. Bunch of stuff about, I guess, about HDMI. Anyway, that's what that is. Now, it's interesting that this does not have any of the software that you need for doing the video capturing. Yeah, there's no software for the video capturing. Alright. I already have their software downloaded and installed on my computer, so not worried about that. Okay. I'll put these things back in the box. Yeah, I'm not going to be using any of these cables. You know, put that stuff back in the box. I'll leave the card out because I am going to install the card in my computer. That'll be the next part coming up. Okay, so let's put this over here. Okay, so now we'll take a look at the card itself. Okay, let's take a look at this card, shall we? It's taped. I'm removing the tape under the camera. Yeah, brand new board. Oh, come on, Mr. Campbell. I hate... Why do they use tape like that? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Well, lucky for me, I do have a pair of scissors over here. In case I need a pair of scissors. I don't really want to cut or mess up this anti-static bag. So, get it in there like that. And then just, like that's fine. I'll remove that tape later on. I got some stuff that removes tape like that. Come on! I mean, oh my God! There you go. Actually, I'll put the anti-sag bag back in the box. Yeah, put it back in the box. Yeah, put it back in the box. And, oh, come on, get in there. Alright. There, I probably could have done this underneath the camera, but that's okay. That's okay. And then we'll slide the box back in here. God, this is a really tight fit. I mean, there is no excuse for that being that tight. That's just too damn tight. But see how it look at that, the way it does that. That is such a cool box. It really is. It's such a cool box. Love this box. Love this box. Okay, so here's the board itself. Looks to be a very well-made board. It uses PCI Express 1.0 version 2. It has drivers for Windows 10 and Windows 11. And I think it may also support Windows 7 64-bit. And, of course, Windows 8.1. So, yeah. And it has, yeah, this one right here is HDMI in This is HDMI out, and you have audio in, audio out, so you can hook up an external audio source, including a microphone, in case you want to do some narration, you know. And the way I plan on using it, there's two ways you can use this video capture board. One way, and the main way that most of you are going to be using it, you plug in your microphone into this input right here. Pretty sure that's where you plug in your microphone. And then you plug in a small HDMI cable into your graphics card, and the other end of that cable will plug into the actual, wait a minute. Yeah, that's true. Okay, you plug in one end of a short HDMI cable into your graphics card, and the other end of that cable plugs into here, the HDMI input. Okay, and then you plug your HDMI monitor, I recommend a 1080p monitor, into this port here, so that you can watch what you're actually capturing. And you can record through the microphone here. You can also use this to plug in like an external sound source if you wanted to have like music or something coming in while you're doing your video capturing. You can do that too. And it appears to be a really nice, high quality PCB. Very well made, very good quality. I really like this card. And this covering here is all metal. Some metal covering. Very nice. Oh, one more thing. This lights up blue. This lights up blue. The AVerMedia logo here, it all lights up blue. And you can see the blue LEDs all through here. Yeah, but that lights up blue. And I'll show you that once I plug this into my computer. But it's a really nice video capture board for Windows 10 and Windows 11. Zoom in a little bit in case you want to take a screenshot of that or snapshot of that. You can do that. You know, some people like to take screenshots of my videos, so there you go. Okay. Remember I told you that you need a short HDMI cable? I got one of those right there. Let me zoom out. And I'll go ahead and take it out of the bag. I believe this one is either a foot long or 18 inches long. I can't remember. Oh, 1.5 feet, so that's 18 inches. Okay. 18-inch long. Well, okay. So, let me pull these things off. I don't need these on here. Yeah, I don't need those on there. And then we'll undo this. But yeah, you want to get a good cable like this, a good quality, heavily shielded cable like this. You don't want a long cable coming out of your graphics card and then plugging into the AVerMedia capture board. So yeah, and you can see how short that cable is, but that's exactly what you want. And it's gold plated, you know, the connections, you know, it's gold plated. It's a good quality cable. This is a good quality cable. Heavily shielded, you know. And so yeah, you need something small. Okay, come on, focus, 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 focus. There you go. You need a cable like this to plug into your graphics card. This end plugs in your graphics card. The other end plugs into the HDMI in on the capture board. And then your 1080p monitor plugs into the HDMI out on the capture board, the AVerMedia capture board. Okay, so next we're gonna install this capture board into my gaming computer, a custom gaming computer that I built. It's my main computer in my office, and I'll show you how to do all of that and how to hook everything up. Okay. First thing I need to do, because I do plan on eventually installing Windows 11 on this computer. I got to plug in I'm going to show you under the camera, a TPM module. That's what they look like. You have to have one of these plugged into your motherboard in order to be able to use Windows 11 or above. Okay, and you can usually buy these separately. It's an option that plugs into, I think all modern motherboards will take a similar chip. But this is what the TPM chip looks like. You know, if you're trying to install Windows 11 on your computer, and it says you need a TPM chip on your board, this is what they're talking about right here. Okay, so let's install this this video capture board. Yeah, this case, rather, this Corsair case, it's a really nice modern case. And if you notice, it has a 5 1/4 inch drive bay, which I have to have because I use a Blu-ray drive to back up my YouTube channel videos onto Blu-ray discs. The reason why I do that is because Blu-rays are known to last for at least 100 years. So they are perfect for archival use, you know. They're perfect for that. Okay, so there's that. Okay. My neighbor's just got a new dog and it's misbehaving. My dogs never bark like that. I taught them better. They would never bark like that. They knew if they did, they'd get their ass swatted with a rolled up magazine. Oh yeah, they get their ass swatted with a rolled up, what am I doing? I want the card in, okay, alrighty. Alrighty. Okay, that's going in. Before I tighten that though, what I want to do, I want to go ahead and plug this card in first. Yeah. Go ahead and plug this board in first. Make sure it's plugged in. And yeah, that's far enough away from the graphics card. It shouldn't interfere with the airflow on that fan there. Yeah, my dogs have never barked like that. They started barking early on, and I taught them not to bark like that. I mean, because that's not necessary. And if there's somebody approaching the yard and they thought that maybe our lives are in danger, yeah, they'll alert us. They were not stupid dogs. They were Rottweilers. They're very smart dogs. But just barking, just be barking, no. They're actually very quiet dogs. They were very quiet. And before they barked, they would usually growl at you. If you heard that growl, yeah, you better get the fuck out of Dodge. That means that dog does not like you. And you don't want to face a Rottweiler that doesn't like you, trust me, and feels that you pose a threat to their owner. Oh my God, you will be in serious trouble. Yeah. I don't know why. I think because these are painted. That's the reason why I'm having a hard time getting them in, because they're painted. Yeah, they're painted. Probably wondering what this is. This is an eSATA connector, because I have external SATA hard drives that I can plug into any of my computers, because all my computers have this. And I could back up files or information, YouTube channel videos or whatever, music files, Amiga files, because I have Amiga software backed up on PC too. And yeah, in a near future episode, I'll show you some of my external SATA hard drive, backup hard drives. But you can get these like on eBay for like, I don't know, $5, $7, something like that. It's called an eSATA connector. Yeah, and it allows you to plug in an external eSATA hard drive. Yeah. Okay, so that's in there. I just want to make sure they're tight. Make sure the capture board is in there like that. Okay, and then these like that. That's fine. Although, I don't care if it's... Yeah, that's fine like that. I don't want it hitting the fan, so maybe it might be good to have it up a little bit like that. Yeah, I don't want it hitting my GIM fan. Yeah. Okay, so this I think is going to be good. Okay, looks good. All right. Just want to show you and talk about my custom-built gaming PC here. This is my main office computer, but I also use it to play games. The motherboard is a really nice ASRock motherboard. It supports, it has onboard RGB. So, and that's what my Cooler Master CPU tower cooler here uses, and this is a beautiful RGB fan. This fan is absolutely gorgeous. I paid about $80 for this cooler, but it's worth every penny. It's a really nice cooler. And of course, I got a GIM RGB fan here. I've got two GIM fans on the front. Okay. The processor is a powerful Ryzen 7 processor. I was going to go with a Ryzen 9, but I did some research on Ryzen 9 processors, and they had problems with the cores. After about 6 months or a year, sometimes a year and a half if you're lucky, the cores would actually start coming apart inside the chip. And so I decided, no, I don't want to deal with that. So I got the Ryzen 7, and so far it's been a very stable chip, very strong, powerful chip. The memory that I have 32 gigs of memory installed, RGB memory. I think it's Corsair, yes, Corsair memory. And then this right here, my graphics card is an MSI GTX 1060, which is plenty powerful enough for the games and stuff that I run on this computer. To give you an idea of just how strong this graphics card is, I could run two World of Warcraft accounts at the same time and get at least 60 frames per second on both accounts, running them at the exact same time. And yeah, this is a strong system. And of course, I got my AVerMedia capture board plugged in. It'll light up real nice. Lights up blue. Here's the GIM fans controller. It lights up RGB. You can see all of this from the glass. And for some reason, the tinted glass, it causes the glow of the RGB fans to be more beautiful. I don't know why that is, but it does. Yeah. Now, I don't have an M.2. I don't have any M.2 drives plugged into here. It supports 2 drives. But I do have wireless, high-speed wireless. Yeah, this is a really nice board. It's a strong board. ASRock. And the motherboard itself lights up RGB. It's really cool. Like when you have this in sleep mode, the board lights up RGB. It's really cool. But I normally, okay, I have my computer hooked up to a surge suppressor. And when I'm not using my computer, I turn it off. I turn off the computer and I turn off the surge suppressor. That saves wear and tear on your computer, and your computer will last a lot longer. A lot of people, they tell you, oh, just leave your computer on, it'll last longer. No, I call bullshit on that. And trust me, I've been working on computers since the early 80s, so I know what I'm talking about. When you're done using your computer for the day or for the night, turn it off. Okay? The power supply is, of course, a Seasonic power supply. It's a 80 plus gold power supply, very high quality, very efficient. And it's an 850 watt power supply, plenty of power for this build. In fact, more than enough power. I've got 2 more memory slots open. I could plug in another 32 gigs of RGB memory if I want to, but you know, boosting the memory up to 64 gigs. But with this 32 gigs here, I rarely ever go past like 8 gigs. And usually between 4 and 6 gigs. Oh yeah, I shit you not. So I don't know why you people are plugging in all this memory when you don't really need it. This is a Windows 10 64-bit computer, and I rarely ever go past 8 gigs. Rarely ever. And that's 32 gigs plugged in, so it's just pure ego. That's all it is. Pure ego. Anyway, yeah, I thought I'd show you the inside. A genuine Pioneer Blu-ray drive that I use to back up my software. Now this is an extra capacity Blu-ray drive. In other words, it will burn and it'll read and write your normal 25 gigabyte Blu-ray discs. Okay. It will also read and write 50 gigabyte Blu-ray discs and 100 gigabyte Blu-ray discs. So yeah, that's a really nice drive right there. I've never had problems out of any of my Pioneer drives. Even in my old Windows 98 computers, they all have early Pioneer drives back when they were made in Japan. And they still run great. Never had any problems out of a Pioneer DVD drive or a Blu-ray drive or even a CD-ROM drive. Because my older computer systems, they have Pioneer CD-ROM drives in them. The only other old CD-ROM drive that I would recommend, especially if you're pirating software like I do, are the old Mitsumi CD-ROM drives. And the reason for that is because they were the only CD-ROM drives that could burn dual layers or sub-layer CDs. And that's where a lot of your copy protection was on your game CDs that were copy protected. And so you had to install a Mitsumi CD-ROM drive and use the correct software in order to burn those CDs. And we'll get more into that on my Windows XP computer. I'll actually show you how to copy protected games. So stay tuned for that exciting content. But yeah, this is the inside of my gaming computer that I built for my office. And I just thought I'd show you the inside of it. So now, I'll put the glass on and the rear cover, set up my room, and I'll show you the software and how this video capturing board works. Alright, here's the rear of my computer, and I'm going to show you how to hook up the cable so that you can do video capturing from whatever you're doing on your computer. So you take the, I'm trying to think, okay, this is the HDMI, yeah, let me see. The output from the graphics card, right? You want a short cable like this. And then you plug it into, I believe, let me get my magnifying goggles. I don't want to tell you wrong. So yeah, that's HDMI out and that's HDMI in. So you would plug this in into here, HDMI in on the capture board, and you plug your monitor into there. And you plug your microphone into, I believe, yeah, audio in is right here. And that's audio out. So your microphone gets plugged in there. Yeah, and that's how you can do it. And then, yeah, you'll be able to capture whatever you're doing on your computer. I just thought I'd show you that. Okay, that's what the AVerMedia logo looks like. As you can see, it glows blue. It's actually a little bit deeper blue, like a cobalt blue when you're looking at it in person. So I don't know how bright it's going to be through the camera. From what I can see in the viewfinder, I'm seeing a light blue border, and the AVerMedia looks like a yellowish green color. Now, I don't know if it's going to turn out like that in the video itself, but in person it's a beautiful cobalt blue color. It's really pretty. I just thought I'd show you what it looks like lit up. Alright, here we are. I'm in my office. This is my main computer setup, and I use a big 40-inch monitor. I like to be able to see, you know, what I'm doing. Plus, it's nice watching movies and TV shows on the big 40-inch screen. And also, I like playing my games on a big screen, too. Anyway, I'm going to show you AVerMedia ReCentral 4 software first, and how to set all that up. And then I'm going to show you ABS Studio. We'll get into that. So, okay, let me maximize the screen. Okay, if you notice, you have a Hall of Mirrors effect right here. That's normal. The reason for that is because you're capturing your main desktop, your main monitor. Okay, now to keep this from happening, if you want to get rid of this Hall of Mirror effect, let me minimize this back. If you want to get rid of this, what I would recommend doing is setting up a second monitor. Plug in a second monitor into your graphics card, and you set that monitor as monitor 2. And you set up your main desktop monitor here that you're going to be capturing from, your gameplay footage or whatever you're doing on your computer, okay? You set your main monitor up as monitor 1. And then you load up ReCentral 4 or OBS Studio onto monitor 2. And when you do that and you're recording from monitor 1, you will no longer get the Hall of Mirror effect. Okay? But this is normal. When you see this, when you first load up AVerMedia ReCentral 4 or the OBS Studio, when you first see this, this is normal because you're recording from your graphics card. Okay? And like I said, if you set up a second monitor and you move ReCentral or OBS over to the second monitor, then you'll no longer get this. Or if you are not recording your desktop, okay, and you're recording from like a video gaming console or a second PC, a second computer, then you will not get this Hall of Mirror effect because you're recording from a different device or a different source. I just thought I'd talk about that. Okay, so right up here looks like a little folder, media share. That's where your videos are going to be that you record using AVerMedia Recentral 4. And here where it looks like a gear, that's your settings. Okay, so this is where you can set your save path, where your videos are saved to. I need to change that to AVerMedia captured videos. That's what I want. Wait a minute. For some reason, it's okay. What we got going on here? Yeah, AVerMedia captured videos. Yeah, that's what I want. But it keeps having this recentral thing. I don't know why it does that. But anyway, yeah, that's where I have my videos. And then this right here is your shortcuts. This is where, because by default, they're off. They're all going to be off like that. Okay, so you have to turn them on. F7, I think you can change the key too, but I'm going to leave it as default. F7, start and stop recording or streaming. F8 is start, stop recording from microphone. Now, for some reason, I have been unable to get a microphone to work. I'm still working on that. In fact, that's the whole reason why I had to set up my video camera and record my screen in order to be able to narrate what I'm doing, because I could not get a microphone to work. I mean, the capturing device works beautifully, and I'll show you that in a moment. It works beautifully. Okay, so F9 is take snapshots. Sometimes you want to take a screenshot, and that's where you set up your shortcuts. This right here is profile management. I usually don't mess with that. There's the about me. Now this is where you can check for updates for the Recentral 4 software. See, my software is up to date. Okay. Alrighty, you go here. This is where you can control the brightness of the onboard AVerMedia LEDs. I like mine at 100% bright because it's just absolutely beautiful. You know, that cobalt blue light is really beautiful. You can also turn it off. Some people like it off or dim. Okay. I don't know what this is. What this is here. I'm not familiar with this. And this is and this is where you can check for updates for the firmware that's on the board. Your software or firmware is up to date. Okay. Let me take another sip of my coffee. Yeah, I gotta have a sip of my coffee. My throat's getting kind of dry. Okay. And of course, when you go to the little round button here, that brings you back to your main screen. This is your record button. Of course, you have a hotkey set up for that. And this is your snapshot. You have a hotkey set up for that. This is for streaming from a single source. This is streaming from, I think, multi-stream, multiple sources is what that is. We'll get more into that in a later video. But yeah. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the OBS software, OBS Studio. Alright, so let's load up OBS Studio. That's what I'm mostly going to be using, and most likely all of you are going to be using OBS Studio as well. Now, when you first load up OBS Studio, it can look intimidating, but once you start using the software and you start learning what the different things do, then it's not so bad. And as you can see here, even in OBS Studio, you get the Hall and Mirror effect. That's normal. That's actually normal. Okay, that's normal. But like I said, if you set up a second monitor and you run OBS from the second monitor, then you will no longer get the Hall and Mirror effect when you're recording from your main desktop monitor. Now, I'm not going to get into the advanced features of OBS today. This is just the basics, just to get your feet wet and get you started streaming or recording your videos, your gameplay footage or whatever. Okay, so, all right. We got the file, show recordings, remux. I don't know what that is. Your settings, you got your settings right there. Okay. I'm just going to quickly go through all these, show you what these are. Okay. And you have appearance. I guess you can change the style, the theme style. Yeah, streaming. You can select what service or account you're going to be using. Like most of us probably be using YouTube. Your output. This is how you can change your video bit rate, audio bit rate. For now, just use the defaults. They're fine. Recording. Okay, this is your directory. AVerMedia capture videos. That's where my directory is. You can make it anything you want. Let's see. Same as stream. Okay. Okay. Recording. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, audio. 48 kilohertz of DVD quality, stereo, yeah, desktop audio, yeah, that's where it should come from. Okay, the line, it comes from there. Okay, that's for the mic or auxiliary audio. And that's what I'm saying, I cannot get the microphone to work. So I'm still doing some research on that. If any of you know, and if you had problems getting a microphone to work in OBS using the AVerMedia Live Gamer HD2 capture board, and you have figured out how to solve that problem, please let us know in the comments. This is your video. You can set up your base canvas resolution and the output or scaled resolution, and it can go either way. So let's say you're playing the game or whatever, you're doing something in 1920 by 1080p, but you want to render it, let's say, I don't know, 1280 by, I don't know, 1280 by 720 or whatever, you can do that. You can change the aspect ratio too. If you change the aspect ratio, then you can select the other resolutions. You can also do it you can do 720p and then upscale it to 1080p. This is good for if you are capturing from a PlayStation 2 or an Xbox or other devices that are 720p. They put out 720p as their maximum resolution. So this is a good way of upscaling those 720p captures up to 1080p. Yeah, so that's how this works. And then you have a downscale filter. You can either do 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second. Now, there is a difference between your video gaming frames per second and video frames per second. Do not get them confused. They are not the same. They are different. So even though you might be playing your game at 60 frames per second, you do not want your video that you upload to YouTube to be 60 frames per second. You want it 29.97 frames per second or 30 frames per second. The reason for this is because if you have your video set at 60 frames per second and you upload that video to YouTube, over half the people around the world will not be able to watch your video at 1080p. They will be forced to watch it at 720p, 30 frames per second. The reason for that is because most people's computers cannot handle 60 frames per second video. Okay? It will stutter, it will lag, it will even freeze up. So take my advice, if you want everyone around the world to be able to watch your videos, record them, even at 1080p, record them at only 30 frames per second. Okay? Even though you're playing your game at 60 frames per second, the video had better be 30 frames per second if you want everyone to be able to watch your video at 1080p. Remember, even in 2025, 1080p is still the video standard. 2K and 4K are not the video standards in 2025. They will not become the video standard for at least another 5 years. Okay? Just thought I'd get that out of the way. Okay, this is where you can set up your hotkeys, and you can just click and you can add them. Like I have the numeric star key, which is a white key on my keyboard, because my keys are color-coded. This is my start recording, stop recording hotkey that I have set up. Accessibility, I guess you can select your colors, advanced. I don't even know what all this does. Oh, okay, I know what it does. What am I talking about? I know what it does. Oh my God. But these are some of the advanced features that I will get into in a later video. So we'll just select OK. Okay. Was that the settings, right? Yeah, that was the settings. All right. Start recording, stop recording. Let's see. Edit. Well, view. Okay, full screen interface is F11. So let's try that. Let me try F11. Yeah, that seems to work. Yeah, you got your scene selection, because you can have multiple scenes. You can have more than one input device, or input, especially if you have multiple capture boards plugged in, which you can do. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for this video. Stay tuned for more exciting content here on the Hans Campbell Show. My name is Hans George Campbell, and until next time.